Alright, everyone, welcome. We're looking at some kid lit again, and today we're looking at more of one that focuses on gender identity. And the issue that I have with this one is not that it is, I think, meant to focus on non binary identities. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with how this whole message is presented. And this is why, part of the reason why I think books on representation should be the focus and not books that try to explain anything. Because the way this is explained is not great to for kids that already overly categorize themselves. And before we jump into it, I do want to note something for anyone that's like, I can't believe this is marketed to kids. Kids this age don't have like that idea of non-binary. I'm not going to get into the non-binary thing. I don't have a specific experience with that per se. I will say that with all the kids that I've worked with, the idea of gender being non-binary I haven't seen until fifth grade. That's been the earliest I've ever seen a child identify as non-binary. But I have seen kids. I knew a child. I don't remember whether it was F to M or M to F. I don't remember because it was so long ago, and it wasn't a kid that I hung out with because I was like 15 at the time, and they were like 5 or 6, something like that. Had a brother, I remember, a cisgendered brother, but they themselves were very much transgender, and they adamantly hated being called by their birth name, and they insisted on this name that they had of the opposite gender. I think it was an AFAB person an AFAB child that wanted to be referred to as a boy. That I've seen. And I've actually seen it in one child that I've been working with. Not that I've personally, not that I've been working with like as of right now, but in the past, a child that I worked with was also AFAB and always wanted to be referred to by a typically boy's name. For her though, it was a little bit different. There was some processing. She had like some processing stuff, so it was unclear whether she just liked the name or if it was a matter of gender identity. She was someone different. The child from my adolescent period was very much about the gender. They wanted to be referred to as a boy. So, anyway, with that out of the way, with me prefacing that, let's get into this book and the issues that I have with it. Actually, on the top of my shadow is purple. You are loved exactly as you are. Beautiful little quote. I think that's fine. My dad has a shadow that's blue as a berry, and my mom's is as pink as a blossoming cherry. There's only those choices, a 2 or a 1. But mine is quite different. It's both, and it's none. If theirs are straight, then mine is a circle. For my shadow's different. My shadow is purple. My shadow loves playing with all sorts of toys. Things loved by girls and things loved by boys. This is part of the thing that I have an issue with. And we'll see repeated several times. And that is that it's equating gender identity with gender expression and just general preferences. And this is something that I've seen, and I think part of it is just that it's confused by people that are well-meaning, but it muddies the waters because I prefer the narrative, especially for the age group that this is geared towards, that boys can like dolls, girls can like sports or cars or whatever, and just more focusing on just because you like something that's typically the opposite gender doesn't make you less of whatever gender you identify as. Like, I prefer those narratives because this kind of, I I like both girl things and boy things is, I'm sorry, but this will confuse them, I think. This will create this false notion that if I like boy things, then I must be. And granted, the metaphor here is, while it kind of it hits you over the head with it, it's not something that the kids, I think, would be able to explain. I think that they would understand it to a degree, though. I dance with the pinks as they turn and they spin, and play sports with the blues as they lose and they win. Some of my friends think I'm simply confused, but the thing I love most is not having to choose. I think it's great. Like this is, again, with the dancing with the pinks and playing games with the blues. That's another thing that I was not. Well, here's a girl with blue. This is what gets so weird, though, is that I don't. But these are all girls. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe that's not a girl, because it's heavily coded in this way that, the boys are blue and the girls are pink. So this sort of, if he likes both things, then that means he's different. I don't like that narrative. I just don't. I'm sorry, but I don't. Some tell me I'm blue. Only blue can be strong. But my mom's strong too, so I think they're wrong. Some tell me I'm pink, 'cause pink's the most caring. But dad's always crying and loving and sharing. This book, I think the biggest issue with this book is that it's trying to do too much in one short story. Like, it's trying to do entirely too much, and this is part of the issue that I have with, like, rhetorical and instructional books for kids versus just representation. A representation book of a non-binary kid would work much better. Like, this is trying to have its cake and eat it too, a little bit, because it's like, some say that only blues can be strong, but my mom's strong, and that only pinks can be caring, but look at my dad's a big softie. But then just in these past 2 pages, liking both boy toys and girl toys, dancing and playing games. So, like, it's weird. It's trying to do entirely too much. Why can't I love sport and dancing and trains and ponies and glitter and engines and planes? Why must I choose and exclude all the rest? I love choosing both because both is the best. And this, again, would be better for something that isn't trying so hard to tie, like, the shadow to this. I think more than anything, this would work better with a non-label narrative than trying desperately to label. And now it's the time for the greatest event. The school dance is here. The invite's been sent. I'm ready to rock and I'm feeling cute. My mom made my skirt and my dad made my suit. I actually don't mind I think the shadows dress is better. But I like the combination of tux and dress as, like, a visual representation of non-binary. But again, the issue with that is, and this is why this sort of narrative doesn't work as well in children's, like, picture book narratives where everything has to be super watered down. Because girls can wear tux and boys can wear skirts if they want. I would much prefer a narrative of, you don't have to stay in a box. You don't have to be limited to what other people say boys should do or girls should do. I bounce through the door and gasp as I enter. The room split in 2 right down the center. Blue shadows go left and pink shadows go right. Once we're split up, we'll kickstart the night. Everyone laughs as they head to their zones, and right in the middle, I'm left all alone. I look to the left where the shadows are blue. They wave me over, saying, "You are blue too." Then look to the right and struggle to think. They call me over, "Come on, you are pink." The teacher walks up looking rather amused. I know you are different, but now you must choose. My heart just starts racing and tears fill my eyes. I know I must choose, but don't understand why. The room has gone quiet and everyone's looking. My cheeks are so red, they feel like they're cooking. If I cannot be purple, then I cannot stay. I'll leave and go home, I quietly say. I slowly start walking, my legs are like jello. A voice breaks the silence. My shadow is yellow. So before we continue on though, this is just not a it's so weird to try to express my issue with this. Because when I'm trying to think about it in a way that the kids understand, and here's the funny thing is that this was read out to us in one of my trainings, because then it was part of this whole what color is your shadow exercise, but it wasn't really gender, it was more related about what color is your soul type of thing. And it's this was apparently banned in a Texas school. I don't think it needs to be banned. I don't think that it's a danger to the children in the slightest. But I do think that what it's trying to convey in such a watered down version is not helpful. And it's confusing. It confuses me. This confuses me. My eyes open wide, my shadow it gawks. A child walks to the middle, looks up and talks. There's more than two colors our shadows can be. I was too scared before, but blue is not me. I know from outside blue fits like a glove, but my shadow is yellow, which to me feels like love. I think that kids would like how colorful this book is, and the rhyming aspects of it and everything. Would they understand any of this? I highly fucking doubt it. If anything, I think that this might be something, this watered down thing might be more fun for almost middle school. Because that's when I see a lot of the gender identity stuff taking place when I was working in middle school. That makes far more sense. I gotta be honest. While it's possible for kids to have different genders that they identify in elementary school and at young ages, it's not very common. Gender identity starts to form in the upper levels of elementary school, and more often in middle school, maybe high school, but I think middle school is the big turning point. And so this, I don't think, especially given the simplicity of the story, I don't think a lot of the younger kids would even understand. And when it comes to something to try to give representation to a kid, I don't think that this works either, because the metaphor is so muddled. Because it's my shadow is yellow, his shadow is purple, but then at the same time, it's almost kind of those colors don't really mean anything, because mom can be strong, dad is caring, of course, and which of course they can, but somehow being interested in both dance and sports is a big divider. It's just, there's just, I have issues with the way this is portrayed. They turn with a smile and take hold of my hand. Who wants to join us? There's room here to stand. At first no one moves, then a hand's in the air. My shadow's as brown as a big grizzly bear. She's wearing a suit too, so I don't and I think that's the point, is that she's, or they're, I guess, wearing a suit. My shadow is red, mine's silver, mine's green, mine's violet, mine's orange, mine's aquamarine. They all rush to join us, whatever their color, blue, pink, and purple, and shadows called other. I look at each shadow, no two are the same. On each happy face, there's no trace of shame. Each different and special and fully unique, no color stronger and no colors weak. The teacher comes over as we're joined as one. Whatever your color, start dancing, have fun. And that's the story. And I covered this because we are covering, I am covering some kid lit now, and I think there's just been this growing issue with, this is clearly meant to be kind of a didactic sort of book, something that teaches something that teaches the concept, not only the concept of gender, which like young kids already have a concept of gender, boy, girl, that sort of thing. But the metaphor that this is tied up in, the shadow connected to gender, it's confusing. It doesn't work. And this is one that I think should have been taken back to the drawing board. I don't necessarily even have a problem with the concept. I just have a problem with the execution. Because I think that some of the older kids do like having picture books to look at that give them that kind of validation. So I don't have an issue with non-binary characters being in picture books. I don't even have an issue with the non-binary character and their story being about the fact that they're non-binary in a picture book. That's not the issue. The issue is that this is really fucking muddled. It both connects gender to typical gender stereotypes, but then says that that's not the case at all. Then what the fuck is it? And I say that not as like a question for myself, but as a way that this is portrayed to kids. This is confusing. Am I wrong? Am I the only one? Am I just a boomer? Like, let me know. Because this was one that bugged the shit out of me. And not because it featured a non-binary character, but because the way this story was told just wasn't great to me. But let me know what you think. I'm curious of your opinions on this book. This is not meant, please, in the comments, do not shit on anyone who's non-binary, do not shit on trans people. I don't want to see that. That's not what the issue is. I don't have, the issue, for at least for me, that I want to focus on is not trans or non-binary characters in kid literature. My issue is, and the sort of discussion that I want to see, is trying to wrap up gender discussion in a simplistic picture book with a ham-fisted metaphor. Should this be the type of thing that's in a kid's book? Not the characters themselves, but this sort of like half attempting to explain with, again, this ham-fisted metaphor. Is this something that we really want to have? And this is another book that I kind of feel like didn't have to go back to the drawing board when it really should have, because it covers like a hot topic. This could have potentially been a decent non-binary book, but it needed a couple more drafts. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.